Hey everybody, Aladdin's Castle here. I just want to do a quick introduction video. This is going to be a deck profile that is covering one of the decks that I played during the weekend of the World Class Cards 5K event that happened on Saturday. Me and Thomas, your boy, got first place in that event, and I bubbled out pretty bad after me being on stream. So there were a couple misplays that I had, which you'll probably see or probably hear about in this video. But I'll briefly talk about that. But I just want to let you guys know this format was extremely fun, but also extremely stressful because there are so many layers to this triple deck format, such as figuring out the three colors that the three combinations of deck that you want to build, and figuring out which decks that your opponent might be playing, and selecting cards that are good in these specific matchups, and also benching different decks that also could counter your deck. And in between time, you're also selecting which decks to play on the draw and on the loss. So there's so many like little micro decisions that go into this format, which I really appreciate because it really pushes you as a competitive player, as a deck builder, as somebody who's able to adapt to this specific format. And this is the format that is going to be used for Worlds. So it's really cool that Robert and everybody out there in World Class Cards gave us the opportunity to experience it. It was a high stakes event. There wasn't as many players, but it was still very high stakes in a way because it was not your traditional deck tournament. So it was really cool to be a part of that. And I want to thank World Class Cards for allowing us to participate in such a unique experience. So without further ado, I'm going to go showcase my Amber Ruby deck, which did get some buzz around the tournament, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll see you guys then. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am going to bring you guys the Amber Ruby deck that I ran over the weekend during the World Class Cards event on Saturday. I was able to bring a couple decks because this is a triple deck format that is in practice for the upcoming Worlds event, where all the Worlds competitors will be competing in and joining in on. So this is going to be such a unique experience because these players have the opportunity to make some really unique combinations of colors and card choices. And there's so much that goes into this format that it's really a lot to unpack. So I'll try to give my best to kind of give a perspective on it. But overall, it was a really cool event and something that you don't get to experience in too many other areas. So it's really cool. I was able to choose 3 different color ink combinations, and I ended up going with green purple, which I wanted to because that's the deck that I'm most comfortable with. And then that left me with a couple color combinations. I went with kiwi blue steel, and then I went with ruby amber aggro, which I will feature in today's video. And the reason for that is because my idea was going to bench or ban the steel color combinations, because that could really put a dent in a lot of your aggro decks. And a lot of people were doing that same strategy, was pretty much just banning the steel decks, whether that be emerald steel, sapphire steel, purple steel, and making sure that your other decks kind of have an advantage from there. And that will happen, like especially if you're on the play, you could just win out with your aggro decks and try to win on the draw with your other decks. Or if you lose the first game, then if you're on the play and the second game, you just switch to your aggro deck. So there are a lot of like little micro decisions leading up to the event, during the event, and in between the games that kind of really played a factor into this high-level, high-stakes tournament. So the reason why I wanted to play Ruby Amber, outside of not picking like an Amber Steel or Amber Sapphire and other color combinations, that I felt like we could really abuse Flynn Rider. Flynn Rider is a card that is cycled out of the format because Steel has existed for so many sets. And especially in set 8, Reign of Jafar, Amber Steel and Emerald Steel is just running rampant, and Flynn Rider just won't survive all the songs and whatnot. So I felt like against certain matchups, Flynn Rider going unchecked can just steal you some games. And then in Reign of Jafar, there's a new card called Prince John, and Prince John is a 5/5 on turn 3, and so many times throughout the tournament I was able to get the Flynn trigger because they weren't able to get rid of Flynn through normal damage. So he was sticking on there for a couple turns, gaining me 6 lore, 9 lore, simply because Prince John was hitting on the field. I also went for a more hyper aggro approach, and it pretty much paved the way into victory there. I really was happy with my results, and there was even the stream game where I pretty much beat my opponent in like 6 minutes. It was so good. But yeah, there were a bunch of Amber Ruby decks actually throughout the events. There was some Mufasa decks. There was the deck that Christian played with the Maximus, which I really enjoyed. And then there was some car racer stuff. So I decided to build the more aggro version. And just to preface, this deck I think is only good in this format. A lot of the decks that people build was specifically for this format with the intention of benching Steel. So I would not recommend playing this at your local tournament unless somebody's really nice and they don't want to play Steel, then go have it. But this is the deck that I ran, and I will tell you my card choices now. So I went ahead and went with a lot of the damage package because since you're benching Steel, there's more likely of a chance that your Mulan and your Mother Gothel will survive so that you could heal with Rapunzel. So that's a classic Ruby Amber kind of theme and engine, is drawing off of your damage characters through Rapunzel. So she's a very important piece in this deck, but the likelihood of your other cards surviving was slim if you have Steel in the meta. So Mulan is also there just to help heal off Rapunzel. Also, I do run the Shift Mulan package, which you'll see in a bit too. And I run that because if I'm on the draw, she could kind of get rid of 3 characters, so she could kind of 3 for 1 in case this deck happens to be on the draw. Next, I run 4 Moanas. Moana is an interesting character because she cannot challenge unless you have a captain character in play, which I do run, but the 3-2 stat line is really strong. It makes for awkward trades early in the beginning. If they run like an early bell, they might want to maybe or maybe not take out the Moana with the bell. But also if I do run into the captain, I could still challenge with Moana, and then she's just questing for days basically. The first couple turns, sometimes your opponent doesn't even want to trade into Moana, so she's just a really strong character. And also she helps Flynn Rider trigger too as well, because sometimes your opponent isn't playing high strength characters. Like if they're playing another aggro deck like Chernodog, say for instance, they have low strength, so they're most likely not be able to trade high strength characters so that my Flynn doesn't trigger. So Moana has several purposes in this deck, and I do like her strength. And then I ran 4 Daisies because, again, if you're on the play, you're just looking to quest for all these high lore characters, survive a little bit. She could also be healed through Rapunzel. She's a very good aggro card, and it's really hard for your opponent to deal with this unless they're playing like purple that could kind of pump up their other characters. Next, for the 2 costs, is Flynn Rider. It's been so long, so many sets since we were able to play a consistent game plan with Flynn Rider. If you are banning Steel, he is most likely to survive. Of course, there's other cards that people could run. There's tech cards like in purple, such as like the Pinocchio from back in the day. There are some emerald cards, like if you're going against green, there's cards like Kits or some bounce effect like Mother Knows Best. So there are some cards that can get rid of Flynn early on, but the likelihood of him surviving is pretty high if you're not going against Steel. So Flynn, of course, will trigger at the start of your turn. If you have a character in play with more strength than each opposing character, you gain 3 lore. Another card that doesn't really often see too much play unless it's hyper aggro is Piglet. Piglet says while you have 2 or more other characters in play, this character gains +2 lore. So being able to drop this on turn 2 and also potentially survive because of the lack of Steel removal is really powerful. And again, the tagline of Captain is really important for your cards like Moana so that you can challenge with her. Also, another card in the typical Ruby Amber shell is Mother Gothel. Again, she enters play with 3 damage. You play this on turn 3, and then at turn 4 you could heal Rapunzel. So many times I was able to get this off because of the lack of Steel. So you guys already know, ban Steel, you'll have a lot of survivability rate. Then I ran 4 Pegasus with Evasive. I needed some ways to deal with Diablo or other evasive characters that I face, and being able to play a 2-cost 3/1 again with lack of steel. I know you guys are going to hear it all the time. Pegasus poses a threat even if Diablo is on a cove. So being able to do this, and also occasionally singing a song, can get you pretty far and a lot of value with that card. Okay, so then the only few songs or action cards that are run in here are Bare Necessities. It is a 2-cost, so you could still sing with Pegasus, has evasive, but it's mostly there to get rid of the high removal late game, such as Be Prepared. Chosen opponent reveals their hand, discards a non-character card of their choice. So it really gives you some information as well too if you want to go super wide in case your opponent has certain cards, maybe like an Elsa or like a Kit or something that could kind of ruin your game plan with your aggro characters like Flynn and Piglet. So Bare Necessities are really good. Your opponent had to kind of play around this card. They really needed like an Ursula 2-drop to kind of get rid of it. Onto the 3-cost cards now. We've run the new Lady. Lady is a family dog, 2/2, quest for 2. When you play this character, you may play a character with a cost of 2 or less for free. There are so many games. I mean, the game on, I think, stream, I had turn 1 Daisy, turn 2, I think I had Flynn, and then turn 3, I played a Lady and a Piglet. So it was just so much aggro, so much aggression. And if you're on the play, Lady is just the play to run. But again, no steal, she's most likely to survive. Then the brand new card from set 8 that synergizes with Flynn so perfectly is Prince John. 3-cost, 5/5. Whenever an opponent plays a character, deal 1 damage to this character, which shouldn't be too much of an issue unless your opponent is playing Churn of Dogs and they're just pumping out like 3-4 characters. But he is a perfect pair with Flynn. Again, like I mentioned, Flynn and Prince John, certain decks just couldn't touch that, and you're just running away with certain lore. Also, Prince John can get some damage, which could heal off of Rapunzel, and you're just going to be able to draw more cards. And the 5/5 can also challenge so many other statted cards in the game. It's just insane. And then the 2 other non-character cards that I do run is Brawl. Brawl I needed just in case I'm not able to get rid of a Diablo or a Genie or any annoying cards, stuff with evasive. Brawl just can target some of those annoying characters, and it's not that bad in this format because it's one of your only few removals in case you're running against like a mirror with Flynn Rider as well. So you need some ways to kind of get rid of those annoying cards. On to the 4-cost. Run 4 Rapunzels. I mean, drawing 3 cards off of Gothel is just really powerful, and that's what made kind of the Mufasa deck so good, is that especially in a meta that had maybe Ruby Amethyst or a little bit slower meta, you could kind of, you know, draw out because you have the access to Rapunzel and Gothel, and then Mufasa can kind of replace itself. So again, in certain matchups, like, it's really powerful, but the survivability rate without the steal removal makes Rapunzel that much more valuable in this deck. Then I ran 2 Minnie Mouse. She is one of the new cards from Reign of Jafar as well. She's a 0/8, and this character gets +1 strength for each damage on her. This card, if your opponent doesn't have a way to remove it, like Brawl or Kit or any type of bounce effect, she's just going to protect your characters in this non-steal meta. Ironically, she is really good against the steel decks because they have stuff like Zeus and Strength, and she's just really strong against it. So I still might run this if I'm playing this in the future with different tweaks without the Flynn and Piglet build. But she was able to protect my board, and I was able to quest like Piglets and Flynn's and all the good stuff on my stream match. So she was really powerful in that specific situation. And then I ran my boy Aladdin. Aladdin is a 4-cost, 1/4 quest for 2 that says, when you play this character, your other characters get +2 strength this turn. It's pretty much like a mini Cricky. So if this deck ever goes on the play, I wanted some ways to kind of trade up to my opponent. Like if they're playing hyper aggro, Churn of Dogs or something like that, my other characters would at least be able to have the +2 strength, so I could start trading, and then maybe later on draw with Rapunzel and kind of take the tempo back from there. So that was the main idea, was that if I ever needed that ability to kind of catch up. Aladdin gave me that little bit of boost that I needed on the draw to kind of catch up the tempo from there. And then I ran for Maui's. This is another way to catch up, again, against Hyper Aggro. If I play Aladdin on the draw and then follow up with a Maui, that gives me a little bit of chance to kind of survive and kind of take back the game from there. But he also pairs really well with Flynn Rider. So if I get a board wipe from, say, Be Prepared, I play a Maui and a Flynn, and hopefully they don't have another removal. And it's a nice backup insurance card if I need other ways to play with Maui outside of just challenging characters. I also played the Shift Target Mulan, which I did mention a little bit earlier. Mulan is a way for me to catch up on the draw, or even on the play. Getting rid of multiple characters is so powerful. It is a 2/6, but if I do shift with it, Mulan gets +3 strength, so she becomes a 5/6. And during your turn, whenever this character deals damage to another character in a challenge, deal the same amount of damage to up to 2 chosen characters. So being able to swing for 5 strength to get rid of multiple characters is really powerful. I actually did that in one of my games. I was able to catch up and get rid of, I think it was the Tamatoa 6-drop and a couple other cards. It was against a blue-green deck, or maybe it was a Clarabelle. I'll just remind myself from that matchup. But I was able to shift Mulan turn 5 and kind of put the pressure on and get rid of 3 characters, and that sometimes happens. And again, your opponent is not getting rid of that 1-drop Mulan outside of like unique removal, and you're able to shift from there. And then I ran a little bit of spice. I ran 2 Perdita, Devoted Mother. I always loved this card. It just needed the right format to kind of play with. It's a great card if you get board wiped, like through a Be Prepared or anything like that, because she's able to get back another character that is 2 costs or less from your discard pile for free. So sometimes if they do happen to go late game, maybe against a blue-red deck, and then they wipe your board, you can play Perdita, you can play Flynn or Piglet, and then play another character next turn. And then when she quests, she also gets a 2 costs or less character from my discard pile for free. And this, along with Lady, allows you to play multiple characters for free and kind of flood the board and kind of recover from like board wipes. So that was the intention for Perdita, as a nice top end, being able to force my opponent to use all their removal on something like Perdita getting an extra card or Lady getting an extra card, and you know, going from there. But yeah, this deck, I think I pretty much went undefeated if I was able to be on the play. So I think this deck is really hard to stop, especially if you bench Steel, and we found that out throughout the weekend, is that if you run a deck like this that's kind of cheeses out Flynn and Prince John, or any type of combo that allows you to have your damaged character survive so you can draw off Rapunzel, is a lot of value. And it really threw a lot of people off guard, especially such an aggro build like this. Being able to play, again, Daisies, Flynn's, Piglets, Ladies, just going all in, especially in the beginning, and then trying to round off from there, protecting your characters with like Minnie Mouse or late game cards like Perdita to kind of flood your board back, I think is a really, really cool deck in this format. But yeah, that was the Ruby Amber deck. I did play Green Purple Tempo, and I did also play Blue Steel Kiwi. I chose Green Purple because I was really comfortable with that, and I felt like it could win either on the draw or the play. So that was my strategy, was kind of going into the game being aggro on the play with Amber Ruby, or being able to be on the play or the draw with Green Purple, because I felt like it could be aggressive, or it could catch you up on tempo. And I'm assuming that most people are going to ban my Blue Steel, which happened pretty much majority of the day. There was only one game where I think Holy Ghost, shout out to him, he is part of the Lost Boys, he did win first place in the second day. He did ban my Amber Ruby deck because he did play against one of those, and he was playing like blue-red, and that does kind of you know, just pretty much auto lose to the Amber Ruby deck. But yeah, it was such a fun event. I mean, there were so many layers to this event. Like, again, just looking at your opponent's deck list, deciding what to bench, deciding what to play first, deciding what to play second, deciding whether or not to keep the deck that you lost to so that you could play it again on the play, or if it's good on the play against their next deck that they play, It's just so much thinking, and I really appreciate this format that people will be playing in Worlds, and I think it's really going to test and push the limits of deck building, of knowing the meta, knowing the cards, knowing the card pool. It's just such a really, really cool format, and I hope maybe down in the future, maybe in DLCs, this format will be supported, maybe in like a 32-person cap event, or a 16-player event, just so other players could experience this. But I do know it's tough because the barrier of entry to this format is difficult. Being able to afford the opportunity to play 3 different decks, it is difficult for those who share cards with other family members. I know people like Nick and Kaylee, or Muhammad and Zayn, who did come out to the weekend event, had a little bit trouble providing 2 sets of decks because of both of their family members. So it can kind of be a little bit difficult in that kind of aspect, and also it does cost a lot of money to build a whole bunch of cards and decks just for this event. So it's really, really specific towards people who can either build the decks and have the opportunity to play multiple of these decks and stuff. But regardless, I had such a fun time. Robert and everybody down at World Class Cards is fantastic, and they really look out for the player base, and they try their best to perform and put out amazing events, and I really appreciate that, especially in the Midwest. And shout outs to everybody who was there that I saw, that I met. 20 Lore Pro for an amazing stream, Liam from the Lumiterius for coming out and providing some amazing commentary, and even the guest casters or role casters for casting this event, and Lords of Lore, shout outs to them as well too. We definitely represented Thomas. Shout out to Thomas, got 1st place. Muhammad got 2nd place day 2. Nick got top 8 as well in day 2. Kaylee had an amazing run. She was on the stream as well. So we had a lot of really good times with the team, and I appreciate everybody supporting back at home too, rooting for us, and it was a really, really fun time. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys got a little bit of insight. I didn't want to talk so much about it, but I wanted everybody to see how I experienced this event, because it was such a unique kind of format, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you guys for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you guys aren't subscribed already. I am hoping to upload the experiences of maybe Thomas and maybe Muhammad. We'll see if we could get them on the channel to talk about how they felt throughout the event. But until next time, thank you guys so much. We will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.